Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Wisconsin MMA Today. I'm Scott Jaffe, and I'm joined by co-host Wisconsin Combat Sports' Paul Flatton.
Begin.
Thanks for joining us. This next fight is an NAFC welterweight championship between the current champion, Charles Hanson, fighting out of Wausau's Rising Sun MMA, against challenger, Rufus Sports' Craig Eckelberg out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is a 5-round barn burner and a special here on Wisconsin MMA Today. Again, Scott Jaffe here, along with my partner, Wisconsin Combat Sports, Paul Flatton. All right, Paul, you ready? Scott Jaffe here, bringing you NAFC Armageddon at welterweight championship featuring your current champion fighting out of the red corner, Rising Sun MMA from Wausau, Wisconsin. It's Charles Hanson. There's your challenger. Out of the blue corner, representing Milwaukee's Rufus Sport, it's Craig Eckelberg.
Scott, fans just have to sit back and watch because this is exactly how a title fight should go. Right away, you see Charles going for the punch and Craig putting on his back with a great double leg takedown. This fight is great for all 5 rounds.
Oh, this is a Wisconsin MMA Today feature fight here again, an NAFC Armageddon fight welterweight championship featuring Charles Hanson. There's your champion right now.
You know, I love how this fight starts because Craig obviously wanted to go for that takedown. And as you're going to see throughout this entire fight, Charles' mentality is to let the takedowns occur and then go for the choke. It's a great strategic battle all the way through where you see both guys like to fight on the ground, but both guys have completely different maneuvers once they hit the ground. A quick choke there attempt, but Craig is able to get his head out like he does throughout the fight, and then start working some punches and just bullying him once on the ground and just making sure that he stays out of harm's way with Charles' submission attempts. Coming into this fight, Hanson went undefeated. He was 6-0. Right before this, he fought an AFC against Miguel Luis and won the title, which was actually his first TKO victory. So he's definitely a proven veteran in the amateur ranks.
Again, this is an NAFC Armageddon, the feature fight, the main event, the welterweight championship between your champion Charles Hanson in the red corner and fighting out of the blue corner, Rufus Sports' Craig Eckelberg. Again, Charles Hanson from Wausau representing Rising Sun MMA, coached by La Tai.
Yeah, and Craig comes into this fight undefeated too. He had 2 unanimous decisions to start his career, and then in his third fight in NAFC, he got a first-round stoppage. So both guys riding a wave of momentum coming into this title fight. And it was one that fans, really, ones that paid their money and really got to see a show.
Again, this is a scheduled 5-round championship fight for the welterweight championship, NAFC Armageddon main event.
Fans, they see right away that Craig's on top. What I really like out of Hanson in this first round is he has a very active guard and just keeps working and, always trying avoiding shots and just maneuvering himself not to be in trouble by some of the strong strikes from from Eckelberg.
Hanson remains poised, cool, calm, and collected.
That's really been his mentality. That's how he won the title. A guy that wasn't known right away, but just kept fighting and kept winning. So he comes around with this strap around his waist, and now Eckelberg's here trying to take it away and bring a title to his Rufus Sport gym.
Again, Eckelberg having rattled off 3 successive victories, earning the right to fight for the NAFC welterweight championship against current champion Charles Hanson.
It was a night full of great fights, and this one capped it off. People were there for a long time that Saturday night, but this fight had them on their feet because of just the great chess match being played throughout the entire 5 rounds.
Fans definitely rewarded for their wait. It was a 28-bout total card that evening. as we end the first round.
You know, great first round. I saw Eckelberg just keep up the pressure and, you know, really work his way, even though the active guard was out there from Hansen. It was Eckelberg that kind of kept the pressure up and really took control of round one.
Here we go, round two. Scott Jaffe here along with my partner, Wisconsin Combat Sports, Paul Flatton. You're watching the NAFC Welterweight Championship between Charles Hansen out of the red corner representing Rising Sun MMA from Wausau, and Milwaukee's Craig Eckelberg representing Rufus Sport fighting out of the blue corner.
You know, that right here, we're going to see Hansen's greatest chance to win this fight. He comes in and, you know, throws a weak leg kick that looks kind of, you know, predetermined, where he wanted Hansen or Eckelberg to take him down. What he was doing in that was trying to sucker him in to try and get a quick guillotine. And it looked for a second there as he was maybe going to be able to, you know, tighten it around there. But Eckelberg just too strong, able to keep his composure, you know, remove his head, and then get back into the strong, tough position, and now be able to work more of his game after avoiding that submission attempt. Great job by both guys, but a better job by Eckelberg to understand what he was going for. Yeah, you know, that's definitely something that's shown. Eckelberg had a solid wrestling career at UW Eau Claire, and he definitely showcases it throughout here, you know, just getting on position and bullying his way again through the top, through the second round now.
Again, you're watching Wisconsin MMA Today on WCGV, My 24.
Everything here, Hansen is so fun to watch, the way he looks, somehow submissions. You know, it's definitely some different stuff, but throughout it he goes for a few arm bars, definitely looks for the triangles and the guillotines. It's just constant submissions, and that's, you know, that's his top offensive attack, and it's something that he works throughout. And it's fun to watch Eckelberg be able to not really show any fear and just be comfortable enough with his own ability to avoid those submissions and use his neck strength and basically just have the perseverance to stay out of any submission attempts.
Yeah, as cool, calm, and collected Hansen was, Eckelberg was extremely confident throughout this whole fight as well.
Yeah, and after, you know, both guys really working hard here on the ground, and Eckelberg maybe looking for a quick guillotine, but Hansen's so well versed on the ground that he really doesn't let it go. And the fight gets up to its feet just for a second, both guys throw. Very exciting. But again, Eckelberg goes to his bread and butter, brings the fight to the ground. So you don't see a ton of action on the feet in this fight, but it's one of the most exciting fights of the night just because guys were so good at what they did, and they did it throughout the whole fight.
Again, you're watching a NAFC Welterweight Championship fight between your current champion, Charles Hansen, fighting out of the red corner, and Craig Eckelberg fighting out of the blue corner. You're watching Wisconsin MMA Today. I'm Scott Jaffe, here with my partner, Wisconsin Combat Sports, Paul Flatton.
There's a great job there by Hansen to be able to, you know, avoid that or get out of that single leg sprawl and then get it back to its feet. You see right back on its feet, Eckelberg goes for a kick, too slippery, he slips, and then, you know, Hansen now on top and just looking to try to get his position in there to get on the top. Very exciting second round. I think the judges will split.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Rufus and Pettis Showtime Sports Bar, where you watch the fights with the fighters.
I'm lightweight world champion Anthony Showtime Pettis, along with MMA trainer Duke Rufus. And come fight time, we want to see you at Showtime, Highway 100, 1 block north of Silver Spring.
Rufus and Pettis Showtime Sports Bar, where you watch all MMA action on two 15-foot mega screens.
I'm MMA coach Duke Rufus, along with lightweight world champion Anthony Showtime Pettis. Come fight time, we want to see you at Showtime, Highway 100, 1 block north of Silver Spring.
Welcome back to Wisconsin MMA Today. Scott Jaffe here along with my partner, Wisconsin Combat Sports, Paul Flatton. You're watching an NAFC Armageddon welterweight championship between your current champion, Charles Hanson, fighting out of Rising Sun MMA, and Milwaukee's Craig Eckelberg, representing Rufus Sport MMA Academy. Here we go, round 3 action.
Once again, you see Hanson coming out, and this one was even just a less of a weaker leg kick. He's really trying to draw Eckelberg in there, and right away, Eckelberg just this time he realizes that the guillotine is a possibility. Holds his time, and then is able to use a takedown with his strong wrestling ability.
Yep, Eckelberg wrestling out of UW Eau Claire.
Yeah, it's something that you definitely can tell throughout, his first, now this is his 4th fight as an amateur. Really relies on that wrestling, loves to get fights to the ground and then go for some ground and pound from there. And that played into a really exciting fight here, as Hanson's the opposite, where he's very comfortable letting fight, going down to the ground, putting people in his guard and going for submissions. So it made for a very exciting stylistic clash.
Again, you're watching Wisconsin MMA Today on WCGV, My 24 Milwaukee. This is an NAFC Armageddon welterweight, under 170-pound championship fight between Charles Hanson, fighting out of the red corner, representing Wausau's Rising Sun MMA, and Milwaukee's Rufus Sports' Craig Eckelberg, right now pouring it on in the blue corner.
Yeah, Eckelberg does a great job of, being able to get Hanson to let down his guard for a second, and then just starts to unleash a great flurry here. Hanson does a good job deflecting a few of the punches, but these are definitely some of them are getting through and scoring big points for the judges here in round 3.
Referee on top of the action as Eckelberg controls.
Yeah, Hanson bided his time and was able to, slow down that attack. And now, he's definitely going to try to go for one of his sneaky submissions that has made him so successful up to this point in his career. But Eckelberg understands that's what's coming and moves his head to the left, gets out, makes sure to duck that triangle attempt, and goes back to the offense.
How'd you have it so far, Paul, coming into the 3rd round?
Definitely round 1, Eckelberg. Round 2 was a little closer and kind of tough to score, but I had Eckelberg again. So the first 2 I put for him, even though Hanson did a much better job in round 2.
Again, this is Scott Jaffe along with my partner, Wisconsin Combat Sports, Paul Flatton. You're watching Wisconsin MMA Today. Be sure to visit us at YouTube at WIMMA Today TV, and also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at WIMMA Today. Again, YouTube, WIMMA Today TV, and Facebook and Twitter is WIMMA Today.
Yeah, and you see there Hanson more of just holding the head, not for a submission attempt, but just to try to keep Eckelberg from throwing some more strikes. As Eckelberg goes back down to his opponent, Hanson looks to maybe try to put in a triangle, but he's really not able to get his right leg over the left arm of Eckelberg, and really there wasn't as much chance of a submission or the finish as it looked at first.
As 3rd round action comes to a close, you're watching Wisconsin MMA Today. 4th round, NAFC Armageddon welterweight championship, featuring current champion Charles Hanson, fighting out of the red corner, and representing Milwaukee's Rufus Sport MMA, fighting out of the blue corner, is Craig Eckelberg. Again, Charles Hanson representing Wausau's Rising Sun MMA.
Great start to this fight. And so far, you would definitely have to think Eckelberg most likely has 2 rounds, if not 3. So, now they go to the championship round, Hanson's realizing, a submission, he's going to probably need a stoppage if he's going to want to take this thing, just because you never want to play it. You want to play it, you got to go for that. You can't let it go to the judge's hands, especially if you're most likely down on the scorecard.
Again, the 4th round, your championship rounds here. First time for both fighters. Hanson not getting out of the 2nd round, taking the fight in his last championship fight. And, of course, Eckelberg, this is 4th round action for him, the first time ever, going 3-0 so far in his last 3 bouts.
Yeah, there is an opportunity for Hanson, as you said, to go into the championship rounds in his debut at the title chances. But he was able to get a TKO over Miguel Luis, a tough opponent, and didn't let it go that far. So now you see the conditioning definitely going to start playing a part. But right here, you're going to see Hanson do it. This is going to be his best round up before. There's a close chance in the 2nd frame where it looked like he almost locked in a submission. But here, you definitely witness Hanson doing a great job controlling some of the action, and definitely using his sprawl and keeping Eckelberg off top and not taking punishment like he had in the prior 3 rounds.
Again, you're watching Wisconsin MMA Today.
I love the sprawl. I love the hand on the, around the neck. as Hansen definitely wants to try to impose some of his will and try to get some strikes. You're going to see some great knees, especially to the shoulder, and it's just a wonderful job by Hansen trying to change the tempo of this fight and trying to put himself in a position to maybe get a submission attempt to win it.
That's your current NAFC welterweight champion on the left, fighting out of the red corner, Charles Hansen, representing Wausau's Rising Sun MMA. Fighting out of the blue corner is Rufus Sports' Craig Eckelberg from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You're watching Wisconsin MMA Today. Scott Jaffe here, along with Wisconsin Combat Sports' Paul Flatton. This is fourth round championship action.
Great knees, and as you said, the defending champ here, Charles Hansen. I think people really enjoyed seeing him as a champion. Brought some new exposure to Rising Sun MMA that they've been on the scene, but they kind of go through spurts where they're quieter. And it was nice to see them get some recognition and really have a guy, at the top of a division here.
Latau doing a great job in Wausau, always has. We've always featured fighters from Rising Sun on NAFC Fights. Charles Hansen, excellent champion here. Both fighters well conditioned in the fourth round, as fans can see. No one giving an inch. The action keeps coming at you fast and furious. Wisconsin MMA Today.
Yeah, Hansen there looked for a submission again, but he's getting tired. Eckelberg is, he's definitely got some sweat going on, so it's hard to latch anything onto him. And as Hansen, because this fight goes on, you can't fault Hansen for continuing to go for the submission attempts because that's his bread and butter. That's where that's how he ends fights. But as it keeps going on, they're harder to latch on, and they're more ineffective as time goes on.
Especially against an experienced wrestler like Craig Eckelberg, as fourth round action comes to a closure. Watching Wisconsin MMA Today.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Rufus and Pettis Showtime Sports Bar, where you watch the fights with the fighters.
I'm lightweight world champion Anthony Showtime Pettis, along with MMA trainer Duke Rufus. And come fight time, we want to see you at Showtime, Highway 100, 1 block north of Silver Spring.
Rufus and Pettis Showtime Sports Bar, where you watch all MMA action on two 15-foot mega screens.
I'm MMA coach Duke Rufus, along with lightweight world champion Anthony Showtime Pettis. Come fight time, we want to see you at Showtime, Highway 100, 1 block north of Silver Spring.
Welcome back to Wisconsin MMA Today. This is an NAFC welterweight championship. This is the fifth and final round, the welterweight championship fight between your champion on the left, Charles Hansen, fighting out of Wausau, Wisconsin's Rising Sun MMA. Fighting out of the blue corner on the right is Rufus Sports' Craig Eckelberg from Milwaukee. Scott Jaffe here, along with my partner, Wisconsin Combat Sports' Paul Flatton. Fifth round action.
You see Hansen coming out trying to throw strikes, but Eckelberg's able to take him down. Hansen needs this. On my scorecards, he's down 3-1, and he's in a desperate situation where if he doesn't get a finish, he's going to lose that title.
Again, NAFC Armageddon, produced in partnership with the Wisconsin National Guard and powered by Concede, sponsored by Showtime Sports Bar and Tiffin Mats. Again, all partners in Wisconsin MMA Today. Thank you for tuning in. Again, this is an NAFC welterweight matchup for the championship. Charles Hansen down 3-1, according to Paul Flatton. Fifth and final round.
Yeah, what you didn't see for fans at home is in between those corners, Hansen was exhausted, sitting down, whereas Eckelberg is jumping up and down, really ready, pacing against the cage. And I think that's really evident here in the fifth frame as Eckelberg keeps up the pressure, keeps using his wrestling, getting on top, and just does not allow Hansen to do anything offensive here in this fifth and final frame.
Yeah, we saw Hansen possibly losing some steam at the end of the 4th round as we were talking about the fighter's conditioning. Now let's see what comes into play in the 5th and final deciding round of this NAFC Welterweight Championship fight between Charles Hansen out of Wausau, Wisconsin, and Milwaukee's Craig Eckelberg.
You know, it's interesting to see the Hansen tired out because the 4th round was by far his most complete and most impressive round.
He went for it.
Yeah, and that exhausts you. You go there and you look for a finish, especially if you're not able to get that finish. That's kind of demoralizing as well. You know, you just come out and now you have to go back at it again and hope to get one of those Hail Mary submissions here in the 5th round.
Again, for fans watching, these are 5 3-minute rounds for the NAFC Amateur Welterweight Championship here. Pro rounds, of course, are 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I just want to say this is one of the most exciting fights we had all night, and I'm just very impressed with both guys being able to go all 5 rounds, and also in the manner that they did. Well, it may not be on the feet like other fights have been. These guys are really going at it and really putting a lot of effort and pressure here, a 15-minute fight.
Yeah, the waning moments of the 5th and final round, the NAFC Welterweight Championship, brought to you by Wisconsin National Guard, Concede, Showtime Sports Bar, and Tiffin Mats. Scott Jaffe here, along with Wisconsin Combat Sports' Paul Flatton. Be sure to visit us on YouTube at WIMMA Today TV and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at WIMMA Today.
You know, there's just nothing here that Hansen can do, to really say this is my round. Eckelberg on top, he's just able to get little punches in, and even with Hansen holding him so close, Hansen has no opportunity to really do anything offensive. It needs punches right, just like that, as soon as Eckelberg's able to break his head away just for a moment's notice.
And according to you, Paul, he needs either a knockout or a submission to take this fight and retain his championship, or Craig Eckelberg will be the new NAFC welterweight champion.
And as we see there, that's exactly what happened. Just a great fight, and Craig Eckelberg was able to use that wrestling and showcase why wrestling is considered possibly the most important aspect of, amateur fighters coming into the pro ranks.
2 of the judges, state of Wisconsin, agreeing with you, scoring this fight 49-46 for Eckelberg, and the 3rd judge gives it to Eckelberg 48-47. Again, your winner of the NAFC Welterweight Championship, Craig Eckelberg, representing Rufus Sports MMA Academy out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You're watching Wisconsin MMA Today. Scott Jaffe here along with Paul Flatton. There's your announcer, Chris Garrity. And again, your winner coming up here by unanimous decision in the NAFC Welterweight Championship fight on NAFC Armageddon. Fighting out of the blue corner, it's going to be Craig. Got to come up with a nickname for him. Craig Eckelberg. Wisconsin MMA Today, a barn burner of a 5-round fight. Now we've got Paul Flatton from Wisconsin Combat Sports standing by with your new NAFC welterweight champion, Craig Eckelberg, representing Milwaukee's Rufus Sport Academy, proudly taking the belt, and will walk away with the welterweight championship, defeating your former champion, Charles Hansen. There's Paul Flatton now.
Wisconsin MMA Today reporter Paul Flatton here with the new welterweight champ, Craig Eckelberg. How's that sound, man?
Feels great. Been working a long time for it and feels great.
You guys just put on a show, a 5-round show. How do you feel afterwards, and can you want to rate your performance?
I feel like I controlled the fight the entire time. There's definitely some things I need to improve on, but I wouldn't give myself quite an A, but maybe an A-.
A couple times, almost every single round, he went for that guillotine. How close were you at sometimes, to be a fight-ending guillotine?
The only time it was really tight where I felt like, oh no, I need to get out of this, was at the beginning of the 2nd round. He kind of threw a lazy front leg kick and allowed me to take him down, and he tried to sink it in real tight. It was fairly tight, but I didn't feel like I was quite in trouble. I just listened to Coach Omar from the side and step by step and got out of it.
Omar on the side, all your other coaches, how big is Rufus Sport for you as a fighter and your development?
Oh, it's phenomenal. Coach Omar, Coach Kaz lead our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu team. Coach Duke, of course, Coach Cushman. They're all fantastic. Justin Lemke, they're all there for us on a daily basis. And it's more of a family at Rufus Sport, which is the best thing about it. They care for us as sons, and we like to look up to them as fathers.
New title, when do you want to fight again?
Whenever Duke says, just listen to him and take the reins from the master.
Congrats, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Great fight.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, And now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Rufus and Pettis Showtime Sports Bar, where you watch the fights with the fighters.
I'm lightweight world champion Anthony Showtime Pettis, along with MMA trainer Duke Rufus. And come fight time, we want to see you at Showtime, Highway 100, 1 block north of Silver Spring.
Rufus and Pettis Showtime Sports Bar, where you watch all MMA action on 2 15-foot mega screens.
I'm MMA coach Duke Rufus, along with lightweight world champion Anthony Showtime Pettis. Come fight time, we want to see you at Showtime, Highway 100, 1 block north of Silver Spring.
At that moment, it hit me. This is why I joined the Guard. I couldn't believe it. I just saved the life of somebody from my hometown.
Be there for your community at NationalGuard.com.
I realized at that moment, these people really needed us. And I was going to make a difference right here in my community.
Be there for your community at NationalGuard.com.
Today's technique of the week is going to be the Superman punch. I'm going to show 3 different variations depending on what your opponent does. I always want to start the Superman punch with a low kick or some kind of kick to get him to react. So these 3 different variations, it's going to be if your opponent backs up, comes forward, or stands still. The first variation is if my opponent backs up. Again, I want to get him biting on the low kick, so I'm going to toss a few low kicks to see how he reacts. If I see him checking or backing up, that's my cue to go. When I see him back up, I'm using the same leg to generate my power. I'm jumping off and going forward with the right hand, straight down the center. So again, I fake him with the low kick once. If I see him backing up, that's my cue to go. I kick, straight forward, Superman punch. Second variation is if my opponent doesn't back up or doesn't move. I throw the kick and he has really strong defense. So in the second variation, I'm going to fake the kick, use again the hip to generate the power, and then stand right where I'm at and throw the punch. So one more time, I fake the kick, use the hip to generate the power, and I shoot the punch right down the center. The third variation of the Superman punch is if my opponent's attacking me. I'm going to use my opponent's momentum coming forward and also the wall to spring off. So as he's coming forward, I'm basing off the wall, again, straight down the center, and I'm using the wall to generate the power. So this is how it looks in fast motion. So straight down the center, using the wall, right to his jaw. And that's the technique of the week, the Superman punch.
Thank you for tuning in to Wisconsin MMA Today and supporting mixed martial arts in our community. I'm Scott Jaffe.
And I'm Paul Flanagan.
And we'll see you next week.